All right. Okay, we will get started here, and we'll begin with Mr. Inza's good news.
Yep. As you can see in your packet, we've had a couple of good news before the winter break with Judiciary's fifth grade classroom giving items to the Kayakata Humane Society. Students helped deliver the items to the shelter, and the high school student council, kids and girls basketball team, who helped wrap gifts for 3 families this year. Again, it's one of those pieces that I think our classroom and our community really supports those maybe that need a little extra helping hand this time at that time of the year. So it's really nice to see the support that they've done, and I do believe that our kids and our community really appreciate all the value that they put into it. And again, it's kind of a slow time this time of the year because by the time we had our last meeting, we had a nice break, so there's not a lot of good news this time, but it does show you that we do have a very caring school community and want to make sure that our families have, you know, something special this time of the year.
Thanks, Ted.
Mm-hmm.
Any board member reports?
I just wanted to say thanks to Donna and Sue for joining me at Irving before they went on break to deliver cookies to all of the staff. And thank you to Rob for helping me at the other meetings the following Wednesday, delivering cookies to all of the staff. So we appreciate all of our staff's hard work first part of the year, and glad that they were able to fill up on a lot of treats.
Anyone else? We will move on to the consent agenda.
I would like to actually pull out and have a discussion on DJ contract again.
Pull the Steve's Mobile DJ Prom 2023 contract. Motion made by Sue to approve the consent agenda with that outside of it.
So you want another motion or just a second of Sue's?
Second.
We can go ahead and
Consent, yeah, with less that contract.
less that contract, yeah. Seconded by Donna.
Yeah.
Any further discussion by the board on the consent agenda, less that?
When is prom? What's the date?
April 12th.
Did they, because you asked that be pulled and that some other.
It's finished that June.
Yeah, we have to approve
Yeah,
the
let's
motion.
go
We have
ahead and
to-
we'll approve it.
So
You
we
wanna
second
approve
it,
that?
and then all,
And then we can go back and discuss that again. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay.
Okay, so the DJ contract we pulled last month for concerns over the cost of the DJ that's there.
Well, isn't this a different one?
No, this is the same
It's the
one.
same one, okay, got it.
So on the sheet, I'm trying to get back down to it. Ray, what page is that? So on this, the prom sponsor put out a request to all of these companies to come back with a bid. So Steve's Mobile Music came back at $16.75 plus a $20 travel fee. They're from southwest Iowa. They're going to provide 3.5 hours of music and lighting. They are available. The contract is attached. $1,700 seems like a lot of money for a DJ for 3 hours. Brock Rogers, who is an employee of the district, has a side business, works for a company that does DJ productions, Music Man Productions, and has put in a quote to do prom for $650. However, he was marked as not having lighting. It's my understanding that he does have lighting. It's maybe not quite the same lighting system as some of the other options. A special event DJ submitted a bid, which in my opinion is not as accurate on this as well. Their music for 4 hours, up to 4 hours, and lighting package was $895. They are a local DJ company who does a lot of discounted dances for the district. They are also available. When we go back and we look at Steve's Mobile Music doing prom since 2006, they had spent a lot of money on a DJ that I just don't feel is necessary. And as stewards of the district's money, I personally cannot get behind not only the fact that the quotes don't seem to be accurate from what we're being told, but the fact that we're not going with, or that they're not wanting to use a reasonably priced DJ.
Who's paying for this, though? Is it the prom committee or is it us?
Both. When prom committee sells tickets, that money comes into the district and becomes district's money. We turn around and we pay the expenses back out. So they
Because
sell
they
tickets.
they always raise money for prom, so what does that money go for?
It all goes into the same pool. But it all comes to the district and it's district housed money.
Can you explain that more, John?
Yeah, because I don't think
It's
it's our business to tell the prom committee what to do or how to spend their money. If they decide to pick the most expensive DJ and that's in their budget, within their thing, I believe that is their thing and this is not our fire to fight.
I mean, yeah, those people work hard to raise that money. So-
How do they raise it though? They sell tickets.
Oh,
No.
no. Oh, my gosh, they have all
We do.
kinds of
There's a
events.
difference between prom committee and post-prom committee.
Post-prom is not part of the district. Post-prom is parents.
Right.
But the prom committee, the juniors do a fundraiser, and they fundraise some, they also buy the tickets. Those are the two main pieces of
I've gone
revenue.
to fundraisers for it before, so I know that they do
Yeah, you
it.
probably all bought something from them. They've done candles, they've done food, they've done different things. The district, anything that goes into the district funds becomes the district money. We account for in the activity fund, so we have all the athletics, like football has an account, basketball has an account, prom has an account, FFA has an account. So they all have an account within the district, and there are certain things that we're required and not required to do because they are district funds. Purchase services, like this would be, are not required to be low bid, but again, you guys are the ones that do approve or not approve those things. Contracts, of which this company has a contract, other companies have agreements, not contracts. So those wouldn't necessarily come to you, because we have lots of agreements through the district. I mean, curriculum has different agreements with speakers that come in. Technology has different agreements with processes and trainings and softwares. I mean, if that's all we'd be doing at night if we approved an agreement. So that's what you've hired us to try to do. This is a small piece, and again, it is more expensive, I agree. But that's where they do raise the money, but it is what you guys choose to do with that.
Just have a couple questions. So essentially, we're just the medium. Like, this isn't taxpayer money. Every citizen in Indianola is not being taxed to pay for this. These are people voluntarily giving money. We're just holding on to it as a district. So in reality, if this committee raises $2,000 and we put $2,000 in their bank and we say, no, you're going with the 650, it's not like that money can be used for something else. We can't take the prom's money and say we're
Right,
gonna.
it would always stay with the prom,
Right.
unless the fund went completely away, if prom went completely away,
Right.
then we'd have to have a process for that to go somewhere.
So to me, those are the major distinctions. This is not taxpayer money. This is money that people have given to a prom committee that we're just holding. And if they've got the money to pay the bill and that's who they want, and it looks like it's cheaper than it's been the years before, I don't know who we are to say they can't use the money that they've raised to purchase the service they want. That's just my opinion.
I get your concerns, Mac, with the price and everything. It seems like a pretty big disparity, but, I guess I think that there would be grounds for pulling it and questioning it if we found out that they had not even raised that amount of money, where we were augmenting it. Then I would be like, okay. But if they've raised over and above that amount of money, and we are not, I view us as a conduit. The district is just a conduit to bring it into checks and balances and accountability. That's it. It's not really, you kind of have to honor the work that the kids have done to raise that amount of money, and then for us to say, you need to spend it a certain way, I think becomes unattractive at a certain point. So I think it's a balance between all of that, and I don't know if the reasoning is can you help us understand a little more why you've chosen to go with this more expensive thing? You know, if that's the end state, then okay, but.
I think too, they've used him, it looks like, for
Yeah.
quite some time, so, I mean.
There's also something to say for relationships and partnerships that we've created within.
But
our
if Casey
community.
Blake came in and donated another couple $1 million for us to build a project, and that's not taxpayer dollars, we're still gonna be good stewards of that money, and we're gonna do what's right to get what we need to get. My point is, it doesn't matter where the money comes from. I'm just making a point that we're not using our resources wisely in a time where, why are we not fundraising less? Why are we not asking people for less fundraising? Why are we not lowering the price of tickets so that more kids have the ability to go? This goes back to a lot of the other things that we talk about on a regular basis about equality. You know, how many kids can't afford to go to prom? If we're spending more money on the things that it costs to have prom,
And I agree with that, but I think those are for conversations behind, with the prom committee, if those are some of our concerns, perhaps not in time when they need a contract and we need it for this year. Believe me, when it comes to
they could sign an
people that
agreement.
can't go to prom because they can't afford it, yeah, nothing hits me more in the heart than that. So I think you bring up a really valid point.
They
in
could sign
what
an
it costs
agreement,
for that.
they could sign an agreement tomorrow with Brock or with Tim, and we wouldn't have to approve it because they're agreements. So the idea that they have to know today whether or not we're going to approve this contract is not relevant, in my opinion. And I'm not trying to be that guy. I'm just trying to understand why, as community members and business owners, we constantly give and give and give and give every time a kid comes and asks for anything. Yet, when we've got a situation like this where we've got the money to pay for a service, why we're going with somebody A, out of town, and B, twice as much as other quotes that are on the table. That's the point that I'm trying to make.
And some of those are valid points, very much valid points, I think.
Yeah, and I'm not saying they're not valid, I'm just saying there might be a reason that we don't know why they're choosing them over them.
That might be the conversation we need to have too.
I mean, I don't want to be seen micromanaging the prom, I'm sorry. I don't want to get the impression that we're micromanaging the prom.
No, I
Really
just want to
don't.
make sure that we're making a valid effort to try to keep costs low, to limit the fundraising that needs to be done, and to make it affordable for everybody to have the opportunity to go.
And I think that's a really valid question that we sit down and ask what the prom committee and their breakdown is, and is there a way that we can lower that or do scholarships for prom or whatever? I think that is a valid concern when we look at prom as a whole. But I'm just going to make a motion that we approve Steve Mobile's music for prom for 2023. And maybe we've got some work to do behind the scenes to figure it out in the years to come.
Motion made by Sue to approve,
Second.
seconded by Donna. Any further discussion by the board? I will be recusing myself on this vote.
Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries 5-1 with one. All right, we'll move on to the next item is under G1. For district approval of the emergency operation plan that we just came out of closed session on. We just need an approval, or a motion.
Get the verbiage.
Yeah.
Motion to approve the emergency operations plan as presented by Ted.
Motion made by Tim to approve.
Second.
Seconded by Mac. Any further discussion by the board? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Next is district branding.
Do you want me to go over that real quick?
Yeah, go for it, Tim.
Sure.
Or Ted.
So today, hopefully you received some information in regards to the Donovan Group and their proposal. I spoke to Jerry Gallagher this morning, and they're willing to work with us throughout the logo completion. It's about a 3 to 4 month process. They'll work with us as far as the communication piece, why we're doing it, as we go through the process, what are we using it for. They'll work with us on our primary logo. Nothing really needs to be changed there, and they'll work with us if we need a secondary logo. They'll work with us in regards to the color scheme and the style guide, fonts, basically whatever we want to work on, they'll work on with us. He also sent me an email as far as the types of groups you want at the table, the number of people that you want at the table. You get too big, you don't get anything accomplished. You get it too small, then people don't feel like they've had a voice. So we'll be working through with that. And at the end, it's the fee of going through all of that. And at the end, if we decide to copyright everything, it will be a copyright. And if we choose to move forward some more communication with them in the future, anybody that asks to use our logos and things like that, instead of the district having to try to sort through that, they will work with companies and individuals saying, if you want to use a copyrighted Indianola Community School District logo, these are the specifications that you have to use. So, and again, I think it's one of those pieces we've had really good luck work with him before. He's very reachable. Like I said this morning, I spoke with him. I sent him a text, say, hey, do you have a minute to talk? Within 30 seconds, I'm available now for the next 25 minutes. Can you call now? So he's very approachable, very reasonable, and has the opportunity to do it. And as far as the bidding overall, with the services that we're being provided, it's about 2/3 of the cost of the next cheapest one. Any questions on that, I guess?
Motion to approve the Donovan Group for district branding work.
Motion made by Ben. Seconded by Tim. Any further discussion by the board? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0.
It's $10,000, correct?
Yep, $10,000, yep.
Next is the 2023-2024 student fees.
We get requests from parents that want to know so they can plan ahead for student fees. And if you look, we have not increased them for several years. And I kind of we are proposing that we don't increase again this next year. 80 for elementary, middle, high is 100 and 130 for the high school. Basically, we receive, just under $250,000. It'll be interesting this year. I'm kind of monitoring it. So far this year, we've got about $190,000 at this point in time, and usually they don't send out the letters that you forgot to pay until January, so now sometime. So we may see more, but part of that is it's going into, thanks to Ray and his group, is going into Power School so people see it. Before, they just never knew that they didn't pay. So we're hoping that this helps. And we may see a bump up in this current year's receipts. So keeping it the same estimate, about, just under $250,000 receipts.
We just need a motion to approve this as well. A lot of items tonight.
Make a motion that we approve the 2023-2024 student fees.
Motion made by Sue to approve. Seconded by Ryan. Any further discussion by the board on 2023-2024 student fees? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0.
Curriculum expenses are typically more than that as well, just so you're aware. I didn't mean to throw it under the bus. I just want to, but we're not funding everything, right?
Right.
Technology gets all the money, but, there you go.
I had to work my way out of that. Let's just move over.
I just, what our expenses are for curriculum, when I came here, were $160,000 that they would only let them spend. And we were getting behind on things. So then we did a 7-year projection when Cindy was still here, Cindy Slauson. And then when Annette took over, she's now tweaked it. But, I mean, we're looking at, I want to say, $500,000 to $600,000 a year, aren't we?
Or less, it depends.
Yeah, it kind of,
The cycle a little bit.
ebbs and flows a little bit. But I wasn't trying to say that she spends a lot of money.
Sure.
But I just want you to know that what we're getting here helps, but it doesn't cover the whole cost.
Thanks. Next is the summary of changes proposed for the 23-2024 high school course book.
And Jeff Siebersman normally speaks to this, but I work with him on the changes, and all of that funding for curriculum can be reflected in the courses that are being offered at the high school too. So essentially in there, added to the course book, he has that in red. And most of those have come through the curriculum committee, like the changes with the trigonometry being added for DMAC credit, those pieces within that. I know they're also adding back in this year flow charts to help parents' understanding of different types of pathways that a student can progress through. Not that that locks a student in for one, but it just visually helps to see the offerings throughout the handbook.
So are we gonna have trig offered here and at the high school then? They don't have to go to DMAC for it, right?
Right, we have always had trigonometry and pre-calculus, which has been.
What didn't we have? We had something past that.
Are you talking about when we had the algebra, we had to go back to algebra 9?
No. What's after trig? They have calc and trig and.
Calc, advanced calc.
Right, and so with this one, Stacy Garrels is finishing his master's degree, so he's been planning for like a year and a half and is doing the application so we can offer DMAC credit now for our students.
Oh, okay.
I think we had that other one too.
Well, we had trig and calc, but then you had kids that were done with that by the time they were seniors, that they'd
Right.
taken all of
I
those.
forget what statistics.
See, I think there was a statistic.
Seniors, I didn't know if we had anything, if they started in 8th grade.
Yes, they can still go on to statistics. They've put in the applied mathematics, and that flow chart will show them. There are some students that whether they would have, from my knowledge of that, is that they have a scheduling conflict. Sometimes then they also try to see what's available at Simpson and if we're offering something.
Because I know some kids that did it, that's why I was,
Yeah.
Okay, great.
We'll just need a motion to approve this course change. Courses change.
Make a motion to approve the changes to the 2023 course handbook.
Motion made by Ben to approve, seconded by Sue. Any further discussion by the board? All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Next is HR committee meeting report.
Oh, I got a meeting and then.
A long time ago.
Oh, wait. 15th of December. Oh.
I don't see it.
I think it was just, we talked about,
Scroll down a little bit, right?
yeah, and then we talked about just like that. There's some statistical gathering on, which how to best find the candidates and
Oh, yeah.
where they could fill out a survey and how to best target people. It was more like a program that Mimi was looking into, is more like targeted recruiting, trying to maximize our time and efforts. Just kind of preliminary discussion on that.
There was some safety, we talked about the safety stuff, but you kind of talked about that.
We discussed just the open positions, which I don't know that there's been a whole lot of change on that here. And then just the deadline for the early retirements coming up.
Oh, I didn't realize that we had actually already hired a science teacher in the new program for Wilder, so. That makes sense.
Yeah, we approved that last.
Yeah, but
Oh, we did?
are they gonna go half at Wilder and half at Whittier then, or how's that
So
gonna work?
that was an internal candidate, one of our own teachers
Right,
that
yeah,
moved in
yeah,
town.
yeah.
So Wilder,
Yeah.
because it's almost like a 4-section building at every grade level, they need a full teacher. Plus then they would share a portion of the teacher that would be at Whittier, because Whittier only has 2 sections.
Gotcha.
So they're working out their joint schedules, so perhaps the Whittier teacher would go 2 days a week over to Wilder.
Oh, okay, I wondered, because I didn't know how that could be shared. I
And
thought, wow,
we-
Wilder's
We
got
did
it.
talk a little bit more in the HR meeting about how, and we had made, it just was a total brainstorming of what would it look like to invest in just a little bit more of educating our teachers, nothing really to do inside the classroom, but educating more on safety, on mental health, on current social world trends and stuff like that. So how do we really invest in them and give them knowledge that really will help them even outside their career and into their family homes and stuff like that. So we brainstormed some ideas, but that's a conversation to continue.
Any further questions for the committee members? Okay. We'll move on to the number 5A, appoint the audit committee. This is done annually. And those, Gina and Jane have faithfully served for many years.
Gina, just a few years. Jane more than that. She's kind of the historian there. Clint Willing is new. We had one of our members that moved out of the community. Tim Gogger moved to West Des Moines, so he's not able to serve anymore. But then Rob has also volunteered to be the representative from the board. Audit was the field work was completed in November. The auditors try to get all that done, and then they work on the final reports. And we hope to have it before March 31st.
Did you guys all get that email from the auditors? Like, hey, can you answer these questions? Do you guys all get that? Okay, you did.
I thought that was the one that we only had to have one person reply to.
Yes, that's correct.
I did. I just wanted to know if you guys.
And you're good to continue to sit on this? Yes?
Yeah, it's just
Okay.
one day,
Okay.
once a year.
Okay.
1 hour.
1 hour.
Or one day.
1 hour, 1 day.
Yeah.
We need a motion to,
Yes.
make a motion to approve the auditing committee. Do I need to say their names or not?
No, I would just say this as presented.
As presented, all right.
Motion made by Donna,
Second.
seconded by Tim. Any further discussion by the board? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0. 2023-2024 modified supplemental amount request for dropout at risk.
I can't believe how expensive that is.
There's a lot of there's 6 different sources that we use. It's like our programming for our online learning program, our SRO. So we ask for the 1.273776, and it's a formula that's driven through the state. And we typically spend all that within it's teaching salaries, resource officer that we do a summer program. That hasn't been as well attended because of COVID, but hopefully that will have a resurgence. Sarah helps me with the number at the bottom, the 755, that there's a potential for them to drop out or be at risk.
Is that based on like current grades and the trajectory that they have for being able to actually qualify for a diploma, or what?
We have to have 2 at-risk factors, and it automatically qualifies them, so we could have a kindergartner that didn't meet their FAST or both reading and math. And so then that just meet, they're essentially a potential graduate, or potential dropout, but as soon as they would meet that was like, metrics, then they wouldn't be. Looks at attendance, and then as they get older, it looks at their ISASS scores too. So if they have 2 factors, then it makes them a potential. Doesn't mean that they're going to, it's just, and that's what we use that money then to put supports in so that they're not dropouts.
Are they purely academic things they have to qualify for, or is yeah, factors?
Attendance is
Or
on there.
Home life, anything, if we know there's substance abuse in the family, or
It doesn't ask those questions.
Does that-
I'm not sure how we would determine that too for all of our students.
Well, there's a lot of social determinants that you can pull from.
Right, but to, like, for the whole, like, to get an accurate representation, I think, so.
Right. Well, that's for a different conversation, because there's lots of different benchmarkers we could probably pull, but what does that 755 look like? Are we trending up in the last 5 years? Are we trending down? Are we holding steady? Do we have any idea where we're at in years?
It's a little bit lower than last year. And then last year was a pretty significant jump.
And then that, so we had our COVID year where we lost track of kids when we weren't in school for a little bit and so then you're saying, then that jumped afterwards, and now it's,
Pretty significant jump last year, and then we're
and then
starting
we're
to kind of
coming back down.
go back down.
Is that, and you may not have studied any of this, is that what we're seeing across Iowa schools? Is that, do we have any idea?
I feel like I'm pretty busy in Indianola, so I don't know what it looks like
Yeah.
across the Iowa schools. And this is just coming out now, so I
Yeah.
haven't had a chance to see what other districts have reported.
I know that you probably, I don't know, do the special education coordinators from other schools all get together and chat? I just didn't know if you guys talked about where your numbers are at and what you're seeing and what your trends are.
This is at risk, so it's not necessarily a special education student.
Okay.
It could be a gen ed student as well.
Right.
So.
And those, the factors that we use may not be with the factors that Norwalk uses.
Okay,
Or the
that's
factors.
what I was trying to
Yeah,
get
so
at, like,
it's
is this?
subjective to some extent of what we call it,
okay.
right? I mean, we
Sorry, I
know
wasn't
ours
following you.
are. But every district probably defines things differently, or their thresholds are different too. So, the way that works is there's 2 different coding, so if you see number 4, it has 2 different areas that can have funds that we receive from the state on this. It is allowable, or it is called a maximum amount. It is for 23-24. So this is one of the first targeted categoricals for 23-24.
Oh, very good.
So,
Okay. That makes sense, okay.
So I just have one more question. So is this money that once those individuals are identified that comes in from the state to augment this? Or is this money that comes out of our general operating budget that gets pointed towards this?
This is funds that come from the state, but they are it's a supplemental, it's a modified supplemental amount that comes from the state. So, which pocket do you want? Because it's still tax dollars at some point, It's still state funding versus district funding, though. Yes.
So what's ironic to me is that we would control our own factors, which would then potentially increase the numbers, which would then generate more monies.
Well, the number of students isn't how the funding is received. We have to report that.
times line 1 times line 2, that's not the.
But nothing, line 7 does not fall into the equation at all.
Okay.
And it did used to be what you're saying, the state said, this is, thou shalt do it this way.
Right.
Used to be that way. And so several years ago, many of the schools, I don't know if it was superintendents that came together and said, really, everybody is so different, how can we make this work for everybody? So schools got together and
Made the decision.
and the state then kind of acquiesced and let this district say, these are our items that we want to focus on.
Okay,
So,
all right.
So, but it is allowable growth amount, percentage versus per student.
Okay, thanks.
So, and I don't even know who this question's directed to, but what are our our dropout prevention strategies that we have in this district?
Go up a little bit, right? These are, that way. So that, these are the areas that we put monies towards. And specifically, I can, let's see.
Well, you do your front end and tech.
Okay. So we have academic supports, the online program, the truancy program, so we have our resource, and the resource officer as well in the summer program. The online learning is our programming. We have a software program. We also have local teachers teaching some of that as well. The academic supports, I'll let you talk about that because I don't know the specifics of that.
Well, I think when we think about like dropout prevention, we want to make sure that our students are meeting benchmarks. That's the greatest way to determine that they're going to be successful, and we want them to pass their classes. When we look at the secondary kids, that's one of the things we look at too, is if they're passing their classes. So those things that we have in place to ensure that those things are happening are kind of like our dropout prevention plan. So the reading and math interventionists we have at our elementary schools help with that, our at-risk teachers at the middle school and the high school. And then each of our buildings too, as they look at different data in their buildings, they kind of look at things from, we look at FAST, we look at, ISAT scores, and all those things together kind of become your early warning system. And those start to kind of target any of those other kids. So it's not necessarily like maybe they're struggling a little bit here and that's okay, but when those things start to add up, those are the things that we try to kind of approach in our schools to make sure that we don't have dropouts. Is that where you're going with that, Sue?
Yeah, I'm just asking questions because I don't know, because I study the trends we're seeing across the nation.
Yeah.
And the dropout rates aren't good across the nation, and I'm trying to make sure we are always running in the preventative side instead of the reactionary side. So like when it says student assistance programs, is that like reduced lunch, what's a student assistance program?
So for example, at the high school, where they have their student assistance area, where students can go and receive additional support.
Okay.
Some of the teachers there have so many periods per day, they can go and assist the students.
So is that kind of in the middle school, the WIN program? Like What I Need program, where they can go and get extra help for?
They do interventions during that time, but there isn't anything that's additionally added besides like that reading and math type of intervention. But they do like social skills development during that time, study skills development, those things that could add to a student's resiliency in the school systems. Yeah. And the online learning program, that's the OLP, where we have the students who can, we have those modules that we have developed in-house of our own curriculum.
Yep.
And the next step with that the high school's been working on is their retake system. So if a student, let's say they failed a unit, how can we help support them relearn that unit versus failing the entire course and getting an F and having to drop the class? So that's that next level of trying to use that program to help prevent dropouts.
Right, okay, yeah, makes sense. How many students do we have currently enrolled, John?
3,600, 3,600.
So 1/5.
Right. That's my,
Yeah.
that's my point.
20%.
So we're at 20% post.
But as Sarah said,
Right.
these are potential, not.
And I know that they come and go, right? Like, they may be on that and then they get the assistance or the extra support
I
they
think
need.
the idea too is it's like that potential, so now we can address it. So instead of, if I was a doctor, I would eat it. If I saw this, I would give the kid an apple instead of going straight to heart surgery. We're gonna try to prevent things from getting to the point where they drop out. And then we're trying to re-engage them.
What's our actual graduation rate? Do you guys know?
I haven't seen this yet.
Isn't it 95, 96, our graduation rate?
It's even higher than that. Yeah. It's almost like 97 points, almost 98 this year.
What kind of communication and participation does this involve parents as far as what we've had?
Like if a student's a potential dropout.
Yeah, where do we put responsibility for them?
Well, if a student is receiving extra help, we communicate that to them. So that would be the one, so they know that they've not met certain benchmarks or need things, or if it's an attendance issue, then the different schools work with the parents on that one.
They're brought in pretty early in this process.
I
aren't
don't
they?
necessarily think we start the conversation with your child is a potential dropout.
Right.
We talk about the different
The
factors
attendance
piece.
and everything like that.
Question, Ryan? We used to have an alternative high school here. Was it you guys were in school?
Yeah,
Right here.
across the street.
Right out here somewhere.
They'll attend it, no.
Just for 5 years.
And look what you can be. I mean, that's what's awesome.
Stand back.
So that, the alternative school is now kind of represented by, we have the online learning program, but we also have the student assistance center at the high school. So there's kind of a wraparound in both of those areas now.
Yeah, all right, 2,000.
Is there a certain person is over the student assistance program? Is there a certain staff member that is over the student assistance program?
I think if we're saying it's like the teachers that support those, then that's me. But I didn't know if you were saying that.
Well, I just know, like the actual at the high school, like is there somebody that's over the student assistance program
Well,
at
we
the high
have
school?
at-risk coordinators too that help gather this information. So we have someone split between the middle school and the high school that works with those teachers. And
Is
then,
that Gina? Yeah, okay,
and then we kind of have like building representatives at each of the elementary schools.
perfect. Thank you for all your information.
So we would just need a motion to approve this to move forward.
Motion to approve the modified technical amount for this prevention application.
Motion made by Ryan to approve, seconded by Sue. Any further discussion by board? All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Next are the monthly financials with,
Review, it's for November. I don't really have anything that's glaring, but I'm willing to answer questions if you have questions.
Motion to approve the monthly financials.
motion made by Ben to approve,
Second.
seconded by Donna. Any further discussion by the board? All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Next is the board facilities committee meeting report.
You scroll up there a little bit, Ray. Get what we did.
See what we did.
Oh, yeah. Talked about a newly available construction manager at risk option. Ultimately, we talked about it as a committee, decided that, given the tight budget and some other factors, and then obviously Envision once again reassured us their confidence that they got a good handle on this, that it really wasn't worth the added costs. Talked about that. We talked, our solar thing, we're waiting on that still, right?
Yeah.
That'll be February.
It's Pepple Save, yeah. We've already shared it for pictures.
Yep, and then the auditorium project is complete,
I didn't have pictures.
all done.
Right.
And the umbrella things on the playground.
Oh, yeah, Bernie got the structures are in place for shade stations on the playgrounds. The canopies are not up. I imagine they'll be taken down every winter anyway for me, but it'll be a good thing, much needed. There is a student, that could really benefit, probably more than one student, that could benefit from that and being able to be outside, and so that's good.
If you have any interest, I did get a presentation from the Construction Facilities Management Office. And about the only value that it has is it kind of, for one, I compared it to what Envision provided us, and it does match. So, and number two, the only difference is it kind of shows the different process, how the process flows. And so it echoes what Jason was saying yesterday, where the CMAR makes a presence early on. This testifies a kind of a picture, shows what it looks like. So if anybody has interest in looking at some of those slides, I'm happy to share those afterwards.
Facilities.
Okay. Any questions for any of the committee members? Okay. Next is the board policies.
Have a meeting, is this just for second reading?
This is just a second reading
Oh,
for those
yes.
that you guys looked at, because you guys haven't met, you.
Yep, just a second reading of them.
So it'd be second reading for 505.2 through 505.8 R1.
Just peek through them really quick.
No changes from the first reading? Okay.
Make a motion to approve the stated policies for second reading.
Motion made by Matt,
Second?
seconded by Tim. Any further discussion by the board? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Next is the board calendar. So we just got through a busy Thursday night, Monday night, and tonight. So now back to hopefully a normal schedule for everyone.
We good for finance this month, John? Yep. Next week.
Ray, I can't make the technology meeting on the 24th. I just legally don't have it. I could do a Wednesday morning, I could do, actually, I could do the week above. Who else has technology? Is that just?
This month.
Oh, yeah, he's not doing anything. Let's pick a day.
Do you want to do the 25th instead?
I can't do that week, but I can do anything next week.
You want to do 8 o'clock on the 17th?
8 o'clock or 7 o'clock?
Yeah, then I can hit 2 to 1. I'll do come at 7 for finance. Next right after.
I can do 8, but we can make that
That
work.
work for you? Let's do it. You're done. Johnny, you better be on a roll.
Just a real quick reminder, if you're able to, I know you've seen it, and I know everybody's schedule's busy. On the 19th, there is an orientation session for Teamworks International from 5 to 8, if you can make it, just to go through the process of what it looks like. I'll send it out in the weekly update as well, if you can make it. I know that sometimes, even with our administrative team and stuff like that, people are gonna have a hit and miss, or they're gonna be able to stay for part of it and have to leave. So, and that just happened, but I'll send a reminder for that for the 19th.
Where is that located? The meeting?
What's that?
Where is that gonna be?
It'll be here.
In this?
Yep.
Okay.
Ted, and I think usually the beginning of February is the chamber dinner, which I usually think they ask the school district.
That's the 9th.
Is it February
The
9th?
chamber dinner's the 9th, yep.
The chamber thing?
Yeah, there's a chamber.
That is the 9th.
Okay.
Yep, and we have
We usually have
6 tickets.
table or
I just got the information today.
Okay, okay,
Yep.
cool.
Next
Because usually
meeting is-
if you want to go to that, just let Ted know. That's
Yeah,
usually how I say it.
I'll put that, you know what, I'll send some of this stuff out tomorrow. I won't even wait till Friday,
Okay.
just so people have it on their radar.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Are we wanting to have our next meeting on Valentine's Day, or?
I'm gonna be in trouble if you don't.
What's Valentine's Day?
I know.
I'm not
Ben's
honestly,
got a hot date that night, I'm sure, right? Probably.
it doesn't matter to me, but that's all you guys.
It doesn't matter to me.
My 4-year-old wants to come to the board, so that.
Just a second.
Just another day that ends in Y, so. Whatever you guys decide.
Bring a date board meeting.
I'm gonna tell Matt you said that.
Yeah, I gotta bounce, I gotta go pick it up.
See you, Ben.
We missed our 30-minute. Yeah, we were hitting on it.
All right, see you, Ben, thanks.
See you then.
You're to adjourn?
Well, Rob's still
We gotta
thinking.
get there.
I'm waiting.
This could take 5 minutes.
Are we good?
Yes.
Okay.
Make a motion to.
Motion to adjourn made by Matt, seconded by Ben.
Yeah.
All those in favor? Say aye.
From his car, he's calling it in. Hey, I second that, I'm halfway home. Well, I'm gonna go play basketball